Hi everyone, welcome back to Andsoph. This is the second episode. Thank you so much for joining me. This is my podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impact. Today, I'm so excited to have a very special guest. It's giving very much family. It's giving very much blood related. Today, we are going to have my cousin Megan, who I grew up with since I was a child. This is her. If you don't know her, now you know. And we had to get her on this podcast because she keeps it real. Sometimes a little too real, but
okay, well,
it's fine.
There's no such thing.
We are going to be talking about childhood lore, if you will.
Ooh.
Yeah. College, if you will. Mental health, if you will. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Megan and I are cousins, basically like sisters. Like, I think I just get, at this point.
If you've ever asked what the relation is, I probably said she's my sister.
We grew up together. She lived with my family, her and her mom. I was 1, she was 3. And then pretty much, I think when we were a lot younger, we were more like, oh, bestie, it's your bestie,
definitely.
Miss Westie. And then, what was it, middle school?
Ooh, probably before that.
Yeah,
elementary school.
We just woke up and hated each other. Why do you think we butt heads?
I think we just have very different personalities.
Yeah.
We're very different people. Probably polar opposites, I'd say.
Yeah. I was more quiet, introverted, sensitive. And you just said everything that came on your mind. And you were more loud. But there were times where I feel like it balanced, like it does today. I feel like sometimes there's situations where you're maybe you don't see it in the same way. But I'm like, oh, maybe this person was just trying to do this, or I feel bad, or whatever. And then other times I will be like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad about this. And you'll be like, it was never that serious.
Oh, yeah. I say that a lot to you.
Yeah, it was never that serious.
I say that to you once a week.
But you give me an unbiased response, that's why. Because
I know, because I don't know these people.
She doesn't have a side. She'll tell it as it is. Sometimes it's brutal. The last time. Harsh transition from family lore. But what is your take on the Meg Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj drama?
I think that Nicki was out of her mind. She might have been on a little bit of... And she just needs to go to therapy.
Therapy. Because me and my friends were talking about it, and Nicki Minaj calls people out in her songs all the time.
Oh, I know.
We were talking about the Natalie Nunn line. Even if my name was
Natalie Nunn, you still couldn't inject me.
And then for her to be like, oh my god, you called me out?
Yeah, I know. That was weird. She probably just thinks she's a little untouchable.
Yeah.
With the Barb community.
Barbs.
They'd be silencing people.
What are some of our favorite memories of growing up?
Okay. So, back in the day, I used to be the ringleader.
She was. Oh, did we talk about Mickey? We didn't even mention Mickey. I have a younger brother. He was also a part of the gang. Yeah.
God,
he's not here with us.
Insert sweet little angel baby here.
Yeah, let's insert his model picture.
And there we go. So one time, I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I remember we had just gotten home from school, and my mom was the only one home with us, and we were being crazy, and I had the bright idea that we should lock her out of the house. Not sure why I had that idea, but so somehow we've convinced her to go outside, and then I locked all the doors, and she was banging on the door for us to let us in, and we wouldn't let her in, and I was laughing,
you were like, ah! I was like,
I did not let anyone unlock the door,
gone.
And, I think she started crying, actually. It got to be, really emotional. She did not like, being locked out there. There's an additional, it's not an ADU, but it's a unpermitted office space that's made out of glass that they attached to our house. And there's a sliding door that connects it to the house. And I remember that I was, jumping up and down, and we were all screaming. My mom's outside crying, and all of a sudden we hear the sliding door open. And we didn't think anybody else was home. Sliding door open. And out comes my uncle, and he is mad.
He was fuming.
One thing about my uncle, he does not play about his sister. If people mess with her, he does not like that. He does not like people taking advantage of her. He it's just a no-no.
Yeah.
And he came out there, and I think I froze in fear. I was like, I'm pretty sure I got the whooping of my life. Okay, you. Favorite crazy memory or...
Oh, yeah. One day, me and Megan, you know, just sitting at home, chilling, and then this girl, I don't even know if you had a permit at the time. Did you?
Oh, you're gonna say this story?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even know if she had a permit at the time. She knew how to drive, but, like, not well. But I was in the car. I was like... And so, my parents, like, left their keys or something.
Because they were gone for the weekend.
Yeah, they were gone. And, you know, every time your parents go out, it's like, it's time. Like, this is our time. And so, then you were like... And then I just wanted to go. I think I was just like a ride-along. I don't know. We were driving in my mom's car, which is a huge van. Like a mom van.
Keep in mind, that's what I learned to drive on. I learned to drive on a van.
Yeah. It's giving school bus. And she got in there, and we're just driving, and then...
Oh my God.
What did you do? Like, why did you pull over?
Because of you. I pulled over because of you.
Why?
Because you were freaking out the whole time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You were such a baby, and it was like,
I
actually...
was like, this is so rebellious.
You were like, Megan, please, turn around, Megan, I don't want to do this.
Here.
I was like, shut up.
She was like, shut up. What were you, like, 12? Like, you should not have been
12. I was like 14, bro. Calm down.
And then she was like, then she pulled over. She was like, shut up. Instant karma. And then she, like, tried to park, and she hit the car in front of her. And we were like, girl. Like, they're gonna be like, where's your license? No.
It was a red truck that I hit.
Yeah, I remember it. And the guy came outside. At this point, I was about to cry. I was like, we're going to jail. Tell my family I love them. I was like, this is it. This is it for us. And then the guy, he didn't even talk to us. I think he just saw two children sitting in the car. And he was like, didn't he do
like... He, like, threw a thumbs up. And I went... And then drove as fast as I could away.
And then we got our crescent rolls. We came back. And then little me, I was like, yeah, this will just be our little secret. I was like...
She brought her up at dinner table. She was like, hey, remember that time when you took the car?
Illegally took the car.
And I was like...
Fun?
Sophie was the biggest snitch. All childhood.
How do you think... We can answer this for each other. How do you think I've grown most since we were kids? And how do you think you've grown most?
That's a great question, actually. I think that you are... 100% more outgoing, and you put yourself out there a lot more, which I think is really good, because I feel like Sophie used to be like super quiet to the point where people like thought she couldn't talk. Like, that's how quiet she was. Like,
mute.
Like, had like something with her vocal cords.
Okay. Yeah.
She was so quiet, but when she would get home, bro, she was louder than all of us.
That's
true. She would scream. She would sing. Like, she was so loud, bro. But when she would go out, she would be like, on like mom's shoulder, like
literally clutching her leg. I'd be following Megan everywhere. You were always like, stop following me. And I was like, I can't.
Yeah, that was so annoying.
Yeah.
For like 10 years.
Literally.
There was always someone right on my tail.
She had a shadow.
And it was you. But I think that you've gotten a lot more outgoing, and I also think that you stand up for yourself a lot more. Like, you don't let people just tell you how it's gonna go. Like, you tell people.
Yeah.
And if something happens, you speak your mind, which is a great thing.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I've had a lot more bold energy.
Yeah, you have.
It just came up.
Which is like,
yeah.
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it, yeah. At some point, it's like, you can't take it anymore, but yeah, thank you.
Was there a straw that broke the camel's back?
Was there? It might have been the pandemic. I feel like just that time just forced me to become a different person. I got more outgoing. And then I started having bold moves. I did a podcast. I started calling people, being like, yeah, anyways. But I think that you've, like, matured in the way that you, like, in your decisions that you make. Like, you look out for yourself in the future. And you have more, like, boundaries. Which I think has, like, led you to where you are today. Because you were willing to, like, take those steps to, like, take more control of your life.
Yeah.
So... I would say you definitely have matured a lot.
Can we talk about favoritism?
Wow, okay, yeah. Let's talk about favoritism. Who's the favorite child?
Let's really think about who was the favorite child in our family.
I can't put my finger on it because
not sure. Maybe it could have been a little, maybe like 5-year-old with an afro.
Yeah.
Modeled and
was put in child acting.
And, you know, made money for the family. Maybe it was him. You think it was him? Yeah.
I think it was. That kid never got in trouble. He was put in child acting. To this day, he is seen as the angel child. And then he can leave whenever he wants and be like, bye guys, come back. Ain't nobody gonna be like, what'd you do? Who you with? They don't care.
No.
Don't
I
care.
remember one time he texted, I remember he asked me to take him somewhere. I think this was in high school. And I think he left or something. I don't know. I just remember that mommy texted him and said, like, where are you trying to go? Or something along those lines. Like, what are you doing? And where are you? And he was like, a function. Like, you don't have to worry about it.
No
and
way.
he did not get in trouble.
Oh, and she was like, have fun. Have fun.
He did not get in trouble for that. I remember I was like,
a function. You don't gotta worry about it.
love him.
Love him so much. Shout out to Mickey.
Childhood was fun because we got to travel a lot.
We did travel as kids. We went to France. We went to London. And we went to Hawaii. I can barely remember. I remember the cheese from France hit. And then I remember the dole, like the pineapple ice cream from Hawaii hit. Like, that's all I remember. It was the food for me. It was the delicacies for me. By the way, I went to France last year. I didn't say that. I didn't put context, but...
And didn't you get it paid for?
It was life. It was a graduation trip. I try not to bring it up because I don't want to sound like braggy. And then I'll remember things from Europe and I'll be like, oh my god, I remember when I was in France, and I'll be like, let me shut up. But you know what? I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how beautiful France was. How much I want to live there and I don't want to be here.
France was beautiful?
Yes. Oh, south of France.
Oh,
Paris.
Yeah. Like countryside.
Not. And we were at the Eiffel Tower. Somebody took our bag of leftovers. Thinking it was probably Gucci. No. It was leftover curry. Have a nice night. I guess we can get into growing up within the same church around the same time. It was a time for real. And I don't think we understood each other's church experiences till we got older.
Oh, 100%.
We did not talk about it really. We grew up in a Christian church. We were like born into it almost. So my parents had been going there for a while. And yeah, so that was a big part of our lives growing up together.
You were born into it.
Yeah, I was.
I was like a little bit before I just turned 3.
This might have to be another day, guys. But my generation, I feel like it was different from yours. Like, you were just in an interesting generation where they had experienced a lot of interesting things. And
I censorship
I literally had no idea. And I just feel like I feel so bad now because I'm like, dang, like, yeah. I just thought you were thriving. I want to highlight like both parts. Like, I think there was definitely like positive things. Like, for me,
yeah,
it was like the friendships that we made. We both are still friends with people.
Yeah, and we'll be friends with them for like
years. Yeah. Like, I have friendships I've had since I was a baby. Mm-hmm. Like, we still talk even if we're both not in the same like community or organization or church. Like, we still talk like a lot. And so yeah, like, I feel like the friendships were really great. The worship was really nice. I didn't even realize how good it was until...
Oh my god.
We were getting concerts. And goodness and mercy shall follow me.
That was offbeat.
Yeah. All of the
days of my life. Oh,
wow.
Hits.
That's how I was introduced to God. That's how I learned about God. And, like, was interested in pursuing a relationship with God. And there was a lot of fun memories. Like, there was a lot of, like, events or whatever that we had that were really fun.
A lot of definitely great experiences, 100%. Like I said, met some of my lifelong friends that will be my friends for the rest of time. My husband.
Yeah, her husband.
I learned about God through church, and I met people. Shout out Brooke Akameza.
Shout out.
My favorite woman in the world.
She's so sweet.
Just people that I know are going to be there for me for the rest of my life. But yeah, there are definitely some experiences in church that were a little more, I guess you could say, on the negative side. But I think now because like I said, that is a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
I think now looking back on it, I realize, I feel like I can kind of see why a lot of stuff was done. Not to excuse the behavior that was going on by a lot of the leaders, but, like, I do understand that for some of them, they were not coming from a bad place.
Yeah.
They were not.
Like, it wasn't their intentions, but still the effects and the impact of it were unfortunately
really
very
hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impactful.
But yeah, there was a lot of fun. Camps were fun. I wasn't getting kicked out.
I remember that. Should we talk about that?
That was so dramatic for no reason.
The way I was, like,
sobbing.
an actor.
And
no, I was sad, but it wasn't enough to make me sob. I was like...
I thought you were crying because everyone else was crying.
I was. Like, literally, we were at this camp. I remember, like, I was pulled into a group after, like, I was having fun with the water guns. I was just out in the creek, like, just being a child. Then I was pulled out, and they were like, so, we have some news to share. And they were like... And it was me and, like, 5 other girls that I was friends with that all had older sisters that were friends with Megan. And she's like... all y'all sisters, they did something terrible. We were like, oh my god, what did they do? Did they, like, kill somebody here? Like, what happened at this camp? I was like, tell me, do tell. And they were like, they gossiped. So say your goodbyes. I was like, what? They were all sobbing, but I think they were all sad because a lot of them, this was we grew up there, but a lot of them, it was their first time.
Yeah, it was.
Like, one of their first couple years being in that church, so now their sister's leaving at this camp that's, like, miles away from home.
Yeah.
That's just, like, scary. And so I think they just weren't expecting that, so everyone started crying. We're all sobbing. And then they're like, all right, now you have to say bye to all your sisters. And I remember we were, like, walking, and I just saw all the girls crying, sobbing, giving hugs to their sisters.
Dramatic. Like, we're going off to war.
Yeah, they had their suitcases. They were like, oh my god.
Like, we are driving 2.5 hours down the mountain to go home. Like, please.
And then I was like, I saw you, and then I was like, I should start crying now. And then I saw you, and I was like...
And then, while they were also at camp, we had to go to boot camp. Basically, they told her that we confessed. We did not confess. The girl
ratted y'all out,
who partook in some of the gossiping, came to the cabin at night and was like, I just have to get this off my heart. We were all gossiping today. All of us. I mean, that's one of us. And she's crying, and we're all like, girl.
Who's we?
But we were already on, like, our third strike. Whatever the system was. And so they were like, guys, we're gonna have to send you home.
Goodbye.
And what I think about is, did my parents get a refund? Because camps were expensive.
No, it's the way that we can barely afford them.
And I was there for 2 days, so yeah.
It's the way we could barely afford them.
I'm pretty sure this was a time in my life when my parents were hard on money, right?
Yeah, we was not living lavish.
Oh my god, yeah, preteen camp. We were not doing good when we were in middle school.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah,
that's actually insane that they.
Meanwhile, I was just at camp, willy nilly.
Forgot about me. Went and grabbed her water gun right after her little performance of Cheers.
Went to the water war starting. Let's go to the snack shop, y'all. I think this calls for a root beer float. What do you say, ladies?
Oh my god.
Let's go. What is a crazy story?
You were also just like a good...
I asked somebody's dad for permission to take them on an encouragement date, and their mom. That was pretty scary.
Ew. Why? You asked the guy's parents if you could take them on
It was part of the
I never did that.
Well, yeah, that was after you. We had a whole, like, devotional about it. It was like, first, you have to plan the date. Then you have to get a chaperone. Then you have to run the date by the chaperone. Then you have to ask the chaperone, is this person doing well spiritually? I had to ask their parents. Like, I think for the first one I did, I just asked one. But, like, you have to ask their parents if you have permission to take them out on encouragement date. I thought, it felt like I was asking for their hand in marriage. And then I remember I asked this person's mom that I was taking. She was like, what is an encouragement date? And I explained it to her, and she was like, okay, yeah, like, that's fine. And then I had to ask her son. When the system was popping off, I did that. And then I asked that person, and then we had that date. Yeah. They did give me a rose. Wild. They gave me a rose.
This is not The Bachelor.
Okay.
Bachelor, whatever.
They showed up to the door with a rose, and I was like, okay, this is, like, worth the trauma. Like, thank you. I was like... And then after that, we didn't
vaguely remember this. Like,
I kept it until it
I
died.
vaguely remember this.
Because I also was, like, in love with that person.
Not me trying to think about.
And you're supposed to ask people on encouragement dates out of encouragement.
Wait. I don't remember you having a crush on him.
I don't think I talked about it to you. I didn't talk to you about, like, crushes until, like, we had the crush on the same person. Then it had to come to light. Oh my gosh. Are we including that? Is this giving tea? Oh my god. That's when I think I had to open up to you. It was just not a good situation. You know? Yeah, that was crazy. And then from there, I think I told you. In college.
I think I found it really, really funny.
Yeah.
Like, dying laughing.
Hilarious.
So, I left church, like, when... How do I say this? When I went to college, I was still in the church, if that makes sense. I was going to another region that was close to my school. And I remember that it just felt like... So, I feel like our church was at least with the people that I spoke to and, like, actually connected with, like, my mentors, I felt like we were already almost kind of on a path of more, like, mutual understanding, and not as strict and more, like, kind of thing. Like, that's what it felt like. So when I went to this new region, and it was, like, back to the strict, like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da rules, I was kind of like, whoa, like, I'm still used to it, but, like, I thought we were moving past this.
Yeah.
And I just remember that there was, like, one, like, D group or something, and they had asked me to, like, share something, like, a confession, I guess, and I remember that I shared it, and their jaws dropped, and it was just, like, it was, like...
Not the jaws dropping.
Like, looking at me like this, like, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's really not that deep. Like, what? And, like, it was just, like, I shouldn't, like, feel like that, and... They wanted me, I was running track, and they wanted me to quit because I wasn't coming on Sundays because I had, like, it was just a lot. And I was like, track at the time is what paid for my school. So I was like, oh, you want me to quit? Are you paying for my tuition?
Right.
Sorry, what?
And let's talk about that more. Like, let's have more of a conversation rather than, like, just quit. Like, let's talk about, like, time management.
And it became into a thing of, like, I don't think you're... It was just a lot. It was like, I don't think your heart is for God, like, in the right place right now, because track is like da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I didn't even like running track. I hated it. Like, I quit after the...
We was just trying to pay bills.
That definitely started to turn me off of the church experience. And I think... And then my roommate at the time, I remember that they were both reaching... Like, that church... People in that church were reaching out to us. And I got sent this long text message about, like, how... got invited to, like, this woman's thing, and, like, how I'm so special, and, like, it was, like, a really encouraging text, and then I find out that they sent the exact same text, just changed the name to my roommate.
And paste.
Yes, bro. I was like,
no
way. Is this, like, y'all recruiting methods out here?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Let's get personal.
Yeah, like, okay. I see you. And I think just a lot of things had me... I started to realize what happened back at my home church also, so I feel like in college, I kind of was just like, no, I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah.
And the few times I did go back to our home church, I just did not feel like I had anxiety. Like, I didn't want, like, I felt like I just wanted to, like, I felt like everyone was judging me and, like, looking at me like, oh, like, we know, like, you know, like, just, like, I didn't feel good. And I think when I first started coming back to the home church, when I was home, I think some of the people that caused a lot of hurt were still there at the time. So I think that's what it was. Like, a lot of those people were still there. And even now, like, going back to that church is really, really hard for me. I don't have an issue with the people. It's just the feelings that I get. And when I go to other churches, I have to really, like, pray before I go. So that I'm not cynical because of all the stuff that happened and I've seen. I'm like... When I go and I hear a lesson, I'm like, well, I bet that this person's not doing this, and I bet that they're doing this, and and I just, like, miss the message, and I'm not there for God, and I'm just there, I'm judging, basically, which is why I don't like going to my own church, like, you know?
Yeah.
I think so, that's what I've been trying to, like, focus on, is, like, when I go to a sermon, just to, like, let go, and let God.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, my relationship with God, I feel like it definitely was, like, it felt more manufactured, I feel like, when I was in high school. Yeah. And I feel like it felt manufactured because we spent so much time at church. We had D group before service.
Yeah.
Like at like 9:30.
And then someone would have like a Bible study right after.
And a Bible study. Like,
and then you have church, and then maybe you have another Bible study right after church.
Or in the week you have like, it was just like, we were in a church environment at least like 4 times a week.
Yeah. It was pretty much our life.
So I think it got really easy for my relationship with God to be manufactured. And like, growing up in the church, I knew every single answer.
Yeah.
Like, it was, because you're trained. Like, you have been taught this stuff since you could talk. Like, you know the Bible. You know what the answers to the questions are. And I feel like, for me, like, and even when I got baptized, like, I studied the Bible, and I remember saying to the person who was studying with me, I was like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready. And she was like, well, you're getting in the water in 3 days. And I was like, she was like, everyone feels like that. And I was like,
that's interesting.
Like, in my heart, like, I do not feel like I am ready to get in the water.
I've heard people be like, I think I am ready, and they're like, no, you're not.
Oh, no. Mine was, I feel like I'm not ready. And they were like, nope, 3 days, we're dipping ya. I had a relationship with God, but it was very performative. Yeah. It was very performative because I was, gonna, like, lead a Devo or lead a D group and, like, da-da-da-da-da. And I was seen as this, like a leader for a lot of, like, the younger people, I feel like. Yeah. And so I, like, put on this show, and I loved God, but it wasn't to the extent that I was, like, talking to people about it. Like, it was more like, I was just following the motion. Like, I was doing what I needed to do. Yeah. But now I think it's a lot different because my relationship with God, it's only about me. And I can, like, no one's checking on me, like, every second. Like, it's authentic now. It's not like, like, it's, I don't even know the word I'm using to describe it, but, like, it's super different. And I'm still, like, working on it. Yeah. Still working on it, guys.
That's good. And I think that's good that you shared about that, too. Because, like, you were talking before about, like, your perceptions, how people perceive you. And I feel like once you kind of fall into the box of, like, falling away, then people are like, oh, like, you kind of become irrelevant.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then, like, people kind of just have an image of you of, like, you're just doing your own thing, or you just have no relationship to God at all. Yeah. I think it takes a lot to, like, fight for that relationship with God again, especially after going through, like, a lot of things within, like, a community you thought you felt safe with and was your, like, main place for, like, knowing God, studying the Bible and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like it takes a lot of, like, work to get to that place. Yeah. So I'm glad you're, like, in a better place. I feel like I can see that too. Like, I have changed my perspective on church too. Like, I thought, like, I was the most spiritual because I was coming to every single event, and I was the, like, only child in our family who was, like, mostly involved for the longest time. And very true. I was like, oh, like, I'm going to every single thing, like, okay, like, I'm really up here with God for real. And then I remember, like, I don't know, I think at some point I was just like, that energy also I put onto other people, where if they weren't coming to stuff, I was like, oh, like, that was me in high school, like, where are you, but, like, I'd be like, oh, like, why aren't they here, da-da-da-da. It's truly more about, like, your actual relationship with God, and, like, because you could be showing up to everything, but you could still be in a terrible place with God.
Or just faking it. That's what I did.
You could just show up for appearance, and then I feel like that's just a waste of your time. Yeah. And it's eventually going to break you down, and you're going to, like, break character and be like, I can't do anymore. You're going to burn out. I feel like I have a lot more spiritual autonomy versus, like, I'm just going to listen to what people say and do what they say, and, like, I'm in the clear. Yeah. Like, no one's going to question me. Y'all be overstepping sometimes. And it's, like, people that are not your parents, people that are not your siblings. It's just weird. It's like, okay. Yeah. I feel like now we're, like, exploring, we're expanding, and like we said, we still have, like, good relationships with people there. Like, this conversation is not to, like, bash. We had good and, like, not so good experiences, but we're talking about our personal experiences, so take that how you will, and just know that we're not bashing anything personally. We're sharing our experiences and sharing our growth, because a lot of people are going through very similar things. They just don't know they don't want to talk about it. Getting into college life, how was your transition from high school to college?
Transitioning Oh wow, okay. So for me, I didn't have a ton of freedom as a high school student. I did the same thing like pretty much like every day. I went to school, went to track practice, then went to my job, and then I went home. That's what I did every single day.
Mm-hmm.
My parents knew where I was at all times, and towards the end, I was just like very closely watched. Like I couldn't really hang out with my school friends. I could only hang out with church people. I didn't have a lot of freedom. I didn't. And partly because I think my parents were very scared for me, but whatever. When I went to college, I was like, oh my goodness. No one around to tell me what to do. Like, yes. Hey. I think the first thing was like for school. I went to maybe like 6. Okay. I maybe went to like 30 classes. Yeah. Like in the entire like first school year.
Yeah.
And I would just like not show up. But I would come in on the test days and take the tests. And I still had like great like I've never had an issue with taking tests. So for me, it was like such a strange, like, I'm like, I really don't have to do anything. I can kind of slack off in high school, like, kind of like, I don't really feel like running super fast today, so I'm not. But, like, in college, it was like, oh, no, like, you're going to run or you're going to be off the team. Like, sorry about it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is...
Yeah.
But I think in college, I worked 3 or 4 jobs. Like, I was, like, hustling.
Yeah.
To have money. For me, what made it easier is that I knew my roommate. And then my other best friend was in our same dorm building, and he was like literally like maybe 500 feet away in the same dorm building because it was a co-ed dorm.
Yeah, that's fun.
And so I think that helped. Like my transition to college was not hard because I had my closest friends with me.
Yeah.
The entire time, like you know.
Yeah.
And we just hung out all the time.
That is helpful. Yeah. You need familiarity. The second semester was fun. The first semester was really rough and I wanted to leave already. I was like, this is disgusting. I'm not doing college. But then I stuck through. Now I have a degree. Period. First generation.
Yes, mom.
First generation.
Film major.
And now I'm just like, do I want to do that? It's crazy. This is life, guys.
So many people go to school for what they don't want to do, though. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Like, even if you want to change your career path later on, you can change it.
Yeah. It's like I think I like a different part of it. Like, more like writing. Which I feel like I've always liked, but I never, like... Yeah. I was like, that's not a stable career path. But it can be.
Our parents really, like, published a book for her, and she ripped people off and sold them at our church.
Not ripped them off.
You did. It was maybe, like, 8 pages printed.
It was $20, yeah.
And it was, like, the cover was literally drawn by her, like... As an 8-year-old, however old you were. Yeah. And she would go around selling these at church, and people would buy them from her.
I was an author. I wrote a book. They were just trying to encourage me. Because he was like, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. So, we published... I read that... You know, I read that to a classroom. Guys, did you know that about me? I read a book, that I wrote and published to a classroom full of children. I was that girl.
You're a really good writer, but can we talk about the time where you stole, like completely copywrote my story for library, summer library?
Ooh, tea.
You know, I just want you to admit it to the people.
That's like a faint memory for me, but
yeah, it's a vivid memory for me.
Wasn't it like a writing contest?
There was a writing contest every year. Our parents made us go to this summer camp at the Burbank Library, and they had a writing contest where you wrote a story and you got prizes. And I remember I still won, but the second story was very familiar, the second place or whatever. And I remember I was like, why does that sound like mine? And then Sophie's name was called, and I was like, she literally took my story, changed the characters, added a couple, like, little whatever, and submitted it. I was like, how are you plagiarizing as a 10-year-old? However old we were. I was like...
That's crazy.
Oh, my God.
I must have not been feeling inspired, and I saw your story, and I was like, I think I can make something out of this.
This is it. Sophie was a...
She'll never know.
Sophie did a lot of, she was creative, I think. That's what I'm going to say. She was creative. She wrote. She also had a business selling... lollipops.
I did have a small business that didn't leave outside the house.
The small business was rated F by a health inspector. Do you want to tell them why?
Because I had Tootsie Rolls that I put together into
with her bare hands,
lollipop.
her greasy little hands.
I molded it into a lollipop, and then I'd be like, "Here you go."
And she would stick a used lollipop stick that she had already eaten inside the ball of Tootsie.
Bring it all
and
together.
Then she would sell it to people.
And somebody actually ate it, right?
Yeah.
just to be nice. It's kind of disgusting. But yeah, I have that small business. I shot those films with you guys. Whatever. The ones where you were like, we're like secret agents or whatever.
Secret agent films.
Remember that? Like, we had the sunglasses.
Oh, and Daddy's trench coats?
Yeah. And I'd be like, go, stop, we're on the go. Yeah, I was not playing around when it came to that. And if anybody ever messed up, I was pressing.
Yeah, that's true.
You could hear it. I was like, stop. You know, you're supposed to do this. And you guys were like, calm down. Like, this is supposed to be like playtime. Like, I was not messing around. And I'm sorry, yeah. I feel like I tried everything. Like, I just tried every.
You did, actually, yeah.
I'd be singing in the shower.
You danced?
I bought a guitar. That never got played. Oh, you remember?
From Toys R Us.
Remember the babysitter? This babysitter came and she was like, "Oh, that's a nice guitar." She starts. I've had it for probably 3 weeks at this point. She started playing it and she broke one of the strings. And I was like, "Ma'am, the door's right there." I started writing the script the other day. I was with Marissa. And I started writing one about how men don't allow themselves to cry sometimes, and that just fascinates me.
Sometimes I cry just to cry. Like I'll search a sad video like soldiers coming home or puppies urine, and I'll like just
Kids
sob.
making a speech. Yeah.
And I'll sob.
If
That's
I
me.
think about enough
sobbing.
bad things that have happened, I'll start crying. If I just think about like maybe 1 week of just bad days, and then I feel like we can both relate on this, and this is where we'll like bring the podcast to the end. But what or how was it like for you with like your personal experiences with mental health?
Oh my goodness.
In college.
Mental health in college was tough for me. I had a boyfriend and just not a great person. It was a very toxic relationship, but I stayed with him, and I think a lot of things transpired during that relationship that really like affected my mental health. And I think for me it was a little hard because it was a very like pray the depression away. Pray the anxiety away.
Yeah.
Pray whatever it is away, because it's not from God. And not just like that was the church, I feel like. It wasn't my parents.
Like that scripture's like, do not be anxious about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that people just be dropping on your diagnosed anxiety.
Yeah. So that was definitely an internal struggle for me. Like on one hand I'm feeling all these things and I'm not in a good place mentally, but on the other hand I'm like, okay, but this can't be real because depression and anxiety are not real. Like that's not a thing. Like, come on, man, like just get it together. And I think that I like shoved it down a lot so far, and then unfortunately I like reached a breaking point, and I think mommy and daddy told you guys about it probably, and that was probably hard for you guys. So sorry.
Because I feel like you were good at like coming home and kind of putting on this like persona for us. Like I had no idea what was going on in your relationship.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on with you personally. And I feel like we were still transitioning in our relationship with each other from like fighting when we were younger and not really like opening up to each other to like actually being friends and like talking to each other about stuff happening. So I didn't know what was happening, but then I remember finding out about it and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot. Luckily I had some like good friends that were able to like help me through it, and I started going to therapy through my school's like whatever therapy office, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And it helped, but I still like in the back of my mind was like, I think also it was a pride thing. I didn't want to have mental health issues. Because to me it was like weakness almost, even though it's 100% not. So I feel like for me it was just trying to change the narrative that I had been told and preached at for a very long time. And talking to other people about it and like really opening up about actually where I was and things were happening really helped me. But I still struggle with anxiety. Still struggle with depression sometimes. Like it is what it is. Yeah. And the only thing that really helps me personally is talking about it.
What was like the biggest like thing that taught you, like learning about mental health and then learning how to cope with your own?
In the relationship, it just taught me that like as much as I say that like I will speak my mind and say it how it is and I'm ready to fight and I'm ready to da-da-da-da-da, in that relationship I wasn't like that. Like I was very like submissive and very like, you know? And that's not like how I am outside of that relationship. So that was like really like weird for me. It was different for me. I realized that it's it's not something to be ashamed of. This is not something, like, that people can control.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that they wake up and they choose to be anxious.
Yeah.
And for you, I feel like you've had anxiety for a very long time. And it wasn't like, we didn't say it was anxiety.
Yeah.
You know? And you've had it for a very, like, probably, like, since you were, like, little.
Young.
Like,
and
little.
I didn't understand it until probably, like, a year ago.
And for me, like, Sophie, like, for me, it was, like, annoying, like, how anxious she was. I was like, bro, just
clinging on
just
to her.
do it. Like, go be your, like, go do something. Like,
literally.
It was really, like, irritating to my soul. Like, seriously, irritating to my soul.
Yeah.
But she had anxiety. But the way that I just brushed over it, like, I just think I'm learning, like, I'm becoming more aware of things and, like, having more compassion on people, because this is something everybody goes through. Like, you gotta be there for people and not just, like, sometimes you do need tough love, because sometimes you are overthinking things, but you
I do.
also need to be there for people. Like, it's not fun being anxious.
Not.
It's really not. You can't sleep. Like, you just have this feeling. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't breathe. Like, it's, like, not pretty.
Yeah.
I think it's taught me to be, like, more compassionate. Yeah.
That's great. And I can see that, too. Because I feel like you had, like, your mental health issues, like, in college. But I feel like also, like, growing up, like, trying to, like, empathize with what you were going through. Like, even if you, like, struggle with things, maybe you didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I had to learn to empathize with you, too. And be like, you basically were just, like, made an older sister. And while also, like, taking care of your mom. And while trying to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And, like, just navigate your life.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like that was a lot for you to handle. And I think at one point I literally was like, I wish she never moved in here.
You probably did say that.
I probably did say that, like, out loud. And then, which is crazy. And I feel like I just didn't realize at the time, or didn't understand what you were going through and how needed it was for us to actually be living together. Like, I feel like God did bring us together, because we're completely different. We helped each other grow into who we are. Like, I probably owe it to you for a lot of the ways I'm, like, more extroverted. Because that's where it thrived. It thrived at home. Because I was feeding off your energy. And then eventually other people got to experience that. And, yeah. Hopefully I can get that anxiety diagnosed. Because she's out of control. I actually do need to do that. Like, sometimes I cannot even make phone calls. Like, I cannot make phone calls. I hate making phone calls. Like, my finger will be over the call button for, like, 20 minutes. Text takes me, like, 2 hours to send.
That I did know.
And then I'll just, like, think about it, be like, oh my God, they're thinking about this.
Babes, it's just you.
It's just you.
It's just you, babes.
It's just you. Thank you for sharing, though, about your mental health journey, being real about that. Because a lot of people need to hear that and need to be validated in that. Yeah, college be taking a toll. It's, like, it's hard. It's hard emotionally, academically, socially. It's a big change. And so navigating it, you need support, and it's a time to educate yourself on what mental health means and how you're taking care of yourself. So
agreed.
I had to do that. I had to do that too. But now we're thriving. Now we're thriving, I guess.
Are we thriving?
Are we? No, it's up and down. Once I got after I graduated, I was like, I'm going to be so happy. Like, I'm never going to be sad again.
What a crazy statement.
Yeah. And then post-grad came and I was like, when did it end?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
all
not how
the
it
enjoyment, where'd it go? Billie Eilish was playing over and over. College can be dark, but also really fun. I'm grateful for the friends that stuck through with us, that are still here with us today.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all.
Maybe some of you think you are, but you're not.
Oh, that's true. Like don't just look on their Instagram story and like their Instagram and comment. Ask them how they're doing, because social media makes it look like you're actually keeping up with people, but you are, but you're not. Like, you don't really know everything, like, in their life. So ask people how they're doing.
Everybody love them.
Yeah, do that too, because tomorrow is not promised. Okay. Y'all made it to the end. Thank you for listening to another episode of Andsoph. This was Megan and Sophie. Please follow at Andsoph Pod on Instagram to get all the new tea of when new episodes are dropping, some clips, highlights, bloopers, and maybe get featured in a future episode with a question. And follow Andsoph on TikTok and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Andsoph, and please follow our pages, Andsoph, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and give us a rating. I say us, it's really me. I just don't feel comfortable saying me. But us, this episode is us, so. This is Megan and Sophie from Andsoph. We will catch you next time. In the cut with my twin,
we be vibing.